knew what I was going into, and now I was 4 years older, so way more prepared mentally and way more prepared physically for everything. So that experience in Hannover was the best experience I could have had to prepare me for what was coming.
Welcome to the City Voice podcast. I'm joined by a very special guest. As ever, it's Nökkvi Thórisson.
Thank you for having me. Very, very glad to be here.
Welcome to the podcast. Very excited to get you on. I've been reading through your past. You've got a very interesting career. We're very happy to have you here. How has it been arriving in St. Louis from Europe?
Yeah, it's been special. It's been it's been challenging, but also rewarding. So it's been a interesting ride. And St. Louis is a very welcoming place. It's an easy place to get integrated into, and St. Louis City SC is a club that is very easy to feel at home at. So yeah, it's been an interesting time.
Fantastic. Well, we have a way of starting these shows. It's quick hit questions. You've got to answer honestly.
Yep.
Otherwise, the internet will find out. First question: what is your favorite possession in the world and why?
My favorite possession is my horse in Iceland. And why? Because I love horses.
Do you get do you ride horses out here? Are you allowed to?
No,
ride?
Unfortunately, but my father owns horses in Iceland, and when I get a chance, even though I don't do it, I go with him to the stables and watch the horses and comb them, and yeah, it's you would say a side hobby of mine. So yeah.
What's your horse's name?
Yeah, that's a difficult name. Ringsjá.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to spell that. I wouldn't be able to spell that. I'll embarrass myself by pronouncing it. Who do you sit next to on the team coach, and why?
I sit next to Klaus because he's my best friend. So yeah, we have a very special connection, me and him. So
fantastic. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best advice that I have ever received is probably work hard and have fun.
Do you take that into your football?
Yeah. The thing is, if you work hard and have fun, the other things will come. So that's probably the best piece of advice that I've received.
It's a great piece of advice. What's the number one song on your playlist right now?
Band for Band with Lil Baby and Central C.
Very nice. What's your favorite place to go on vacation?
Dalvík, Iceland, my hometown.
I moved to America 9 years ago, and for the first 6 years, the only place people wanted to go was Iceland. Yeah. It's pretty beautiful destination.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed of how many people actually visited Iceland. Like people that I talked to here, and a lot of them have actually been to Iceland and visited. So it was a bit surprising for me how many people actually have been to Iceland here in the US. So but understandably, the natural beauty there is something else.
What would be your one recommendation for people going to Iceland that's a little bit off the beaten track, like the sort of the insider place to go if you're touring out there?
I would go to, in Akureyri we have a place called Forest Lagoon, and it's actually unbelievable. So it's naturally heated from the mountain there, and the scenery from there, and actually the surrounding there, it's very nice. I would that's inside info from me. Forest Lagoon.
Forest Lagoon. Note it down, people, and don't tell where you got it from. Do you have a secret skill that nobody knows about? I mean, I guess with your favorite possession, it probably lines up with that, right?
Yeah, I'm a pretty decent horse rider, so that's a hidden skill.
Awesome. Okay, let's get into some of your early life. So you just mentioned that you were born in Dalvík, Iceland. Like, tell us a little bit about what that was like. Is it a big town, small town? Like,
Dalvík is a very small town in the north of Iceland. We probably have around 6,000 people there, and It's a very calm, quiet. Everybody knows each other there. It's a very unite town. So for a young kid to grow up there, it's a very lovely town to grow up in.
Could you explain Icelandic people? Like, what's the character of the nation?
I would say they're not shy. They're very positive and smiling. It's they're welcoming, but I would say they're open and they have a very good sense of humor.
There's 382,000 people in Iceland. So you lived in a small town and a small country. What is the sport of the nation?
Soccer, by far. It's the heartbeat of the nation. And handball it's also very popular there, but soccer is number one by far.
And is that they watch it, they play it? Like, what's the sort of setup? Is it like a small leagues, small local clubs? How does it work?
No, so in Iceland, every household has their English Premier League team they support, and then they have their local club they support. So I think every household watches the Premier League each weekend, and then you have, of course, the Icelandic League that a lot of people watch in Iceland. But soccer is something that, yeah, I think everyone who's grown up in Iceland has played or trained or been at soccer at some point. Even it's just something that you put your kids into because it's very uniting in Iceland. So you can ask a lot of people in Iceland and they can say, yeah, I trained it. But yeah, it's a very big part of our culture in Iceland. The English Premier League and the Icelandic top division, a very big part of it.
And your dad was a big soccer fan.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about how he dealt with you supporting Chelsea as a youngster, because he was a United fan. Like, talk us through why you supported Chelsea.
So I started supporting Chelsea because Johnson, the legendary Icelandic player, played for Chelsea at that time. I was very young and maybe that was the main reason why I supported Chelsea. And him being a good father that he is was just accepting and wasn't forcing anything, so allowed us to support Chelsea or support whatever we wanted to. And then one day we were watching a United game with our father and a guy named Cristiano Ronaldo came on, did some tricks and stuff with a ball, and all of a sudden me and my twin brother, we turned into United fans. So he didn't even have to force us to become United fan. He was just watching a game with us, and all of a sudden we were turned over to a United fan. So yeah, that was a funny story, but
House always wins. That's great.
Yeah.
So was your dad a soccer player, or did he push you into it, or did you just get into the game because it was part of the culture?
Yeah, he was a soccer player himself, captain of a team in Akureyri and played in the top division his whole career in Iceland. So he knows a lot about soccer and is watches United every weekend. So I grew up watching soccer every weekend, and but he stopped when I was 3 or 4 years old. So I don't have memories of me watching him. But I have a lot of memories of us watching United together. So, and yeah, he's a soccer maniac. So it was very easy for us to get influenced. So, and one day we were watching our older brother competing in a soccer tournament. And that was the moment where me and my twin brother were like, yeah, that's what we want to do. So he didn't force us necessarily into soccer, but allowed us to figure it out ourselves what we wanted to do. So it came naturally to me what I wanted to to become when I was older. And it was just like this moment when I was just watching my older brother at I think 5 years old, and I hadn't. I mean, I went to some soccer practices then, but it was something that I wasn't really interested in. And then just at that moment when I saw him competing, I was like, "Yep, this is exactly what I want to do." And since that day, that's been my number one focus.
Did it help having a twin brother following the same dream?
Yeah, it pushed me a lot because you have this competition between each other and you always want to be better than him. So we always we could never run side by side when we were like jogging or something, because it always ended in a sprint because one wanted to be in front of the other. So when we were doing everything we were doing, it was always a competition. So we were always pushing each other to higher limits. So yeah, it definitely raised everything. Raised the bar and sparked that competitiveness in me.
So so tell me about your brother and the position that he plays, and did you track at the same clubs? Like, how did that work?
So growing up, I was always on the left side of the wing and he was on the right side of the wing. So it was always the twins on the wings.
Yeah.
But then later on, he transitioned into right back, where he found himself, where he found his perfect position. And today he's a right back playing in Sweden. So yeah.
Do you catch his games?
Yeah, I try to. He plays usually Saturday mornings here. So like at 8 o'clock, I wake up and I can watch him. So the timing is actually pretty good for me to watch his games, because it's around noon where they play. So it's in the morning here. So I can catch up his games.
Has he got an MLS season pass to tune into you?
Yeah, he does. He's always well tuned in, and we always FaceTime each other each week and dialogue each day. So we're very close, and it's a best friend that you grow up with. So being a twin is something very special, a bond that is hard to explain.
Do you use him as like a sort of not mentor, but like when things are going badly in your game or when things are going badly in his game, do you two talk about football? Is the focus football, or is it more like other things?
Yeah, I mean, when it's going good, he keeps me on the ground. When it's going bad, he backs me up and pushes me and gives me real talk. He doesn't allow me to complain and all that. So, and I always, he's a good shoulder to lean on when it's necessary, and in off seasons it's a good training partner to have to focus on points that you wanna, because he's a right back and I'm a left wing, so I can use him for a lot of practices.
1v1.
So yeah.
How did your dad feel having two sons that are professional?
I think he's very proud, but I mean, it's only the start of our journey, so a lot to be accomplished yet. So I know he's proud, but still he's pushing us to go even further. So it's it's only the start of an incredible journey.
Fantastic. So let's talk about the start of your career at Dalvík, Rainier, and Akureyri.
Yeah.
I tried. I gave it a go.
Akureyri, yeah.
Akureyri. Talk us through the Icelandic youth system. Is it really competitive? Like, how difficult is it to stand out?
The youth system in Iceland is you have your local team, and then of course you go to, if you stand out in your local team, the bigger local team picks you up. So I stood out in my local team in Dalvík and I got picked out in Akureyri. So, and it's just about, it's very competitive, but of course, because we're not the biggest country, it's probably not as competitive as somewhere else in the world. But still, it's a competitive, because in Iceland we have so many high profile coaches. So every club in Iceland has a UEFA licensed coach, other youth coach. So every player gets a good pedigree of coaching. So it's a competitive environment, but of course not the most competitive because of the size.
But you did manage to land a move to Europe. Signed for Hannover.
Yeah.
Under 19 level. How exciting was that to get that call? Talk me through it.
I mean, it's always when you're playing and having fun with your friends, and in the beginning it's just about having fun and playing with your friends and all that. But then at a certain age you start to realize that it gets competitive, and this is actually, and then you're following a dream, which is to become a professional. And at around 13, 14, 15, 16, it starts to become more and more serious, I would say. And then you have to start sticking out, and when I got that call to go to Hannover to follow a dream of mine, which is of course to be a professional, and the German youth system is a very high profile youth system, so I knew going there would make me a better player. So I was so excited when I got the call to go and play for Hannover in the youth system there, and yeah, it was exciting times for me and the family.
What did the move to Germany add to your game, either technically or mentally?
Technically, of course, it improved my game a lot, because there you get into a way more competitive environment where it's just about, if you don't perform, they find another one in your position and you have to leave. So it's all of a sudden you're in a performance environment where you have to deliver, and that transition is of course a very maturing one. And then mentally, it was the first experience being home, away from friends, away from family. So mentally it was more growing than technically, probably, because having that experience then definitely helps me now where I am at today. Because it's easy to say to go to another country and at that young age, but then to really do it, that's another thing. But looking back at it, it was a very important point in my life to actually experience that, to be in a foreign country, away from your friends and family, and in this high performance environment. And yeah, it's something that molded me a lot as a person.
What was the biggest thing that you learned about yourself going to Germany?
I was much closer to the level than I thought I maybe was when I came there. You're in Iceland, this small boy from Dalvík, and you think this is so far away, and then you actually go there and you realize it is way finer margin than you actually think. So that's what I learned when I went there, is that the margins of being a great top player and a terrible player are often not as big as people think.
You moved back to Iceland.
Yeah.
What was the draw? What were you moving back?
For me, it was homesickness then, and that was just completely honest. It was just homesickness. I was there in Germany. In Germany, you have to learn German, and it's a different culture, different. So I couldn't speak English there because a lot of people don't speak English. So in 2 years, I had to completely learn German, and once I learned German, it was way easier to live there, and it was just, I went young, maybe not ready, but definitely a growing part. But the main reason why I went back was just homesickness at that point.
So you come back, things work out pretty well.
Yeah.
And you get another call to go back. Were you more prepared to leave the second time?
100%. So having experienced all these emotions, all that hardship, all that different culture, different language, all that definitely made me prepared 100% for. So when I went to Belgium, I already knew what was coming. Now I was already prepared, and I was excited because I knew what I was going into, and now I was 4 years older, so way more prepared mentally and way more prepared physically for everything. So I think that experience in Hannover was the best experience I could have had to prepare me for what was coming.
And tell us a little bit about the club that you went to.
Beerschot was they came. It was in the season where I had my breakout season, and it was a very interesting option because I had quite a few options that summer. But once Beerschot came up, they just got relegated and seemed like a perfect step for me to go to make sure I was gonna play. Because for me, the most important thing there was to continue to play, and they were very straightforward with what they wanted to do with me, and were very honest with that. They wanted me to play each game, so that was something that I wanted to hear, and they wanted to get promoted straight away, and that was, of course, for me also a big plus. So, and we made. They made clear that if that wouldn't be the case, that they got promoted, it would be possible for me to. They wouldn't hold me back from going somewhere else if I would have a great season. So it was just a lot of positives when we were in negotiations with the club. So it was almost like a win-win. If we got promoted, I would be already in the top division in Belgium, and if not, I could look around and they would not stand in the way of me going somewhere else. So a great window of opportunity for me, and a great step looking back at it.
Where did they deploy you positionally?
Left wing or left inside forward. So left wing.
And did you? You had a great season. Did you again have the feeling that you were you nervous going into that move, thinking, "Am I going to be at the level?" Or were you more confident because of the Hannover experience? I'm going to hit the ground running here and have a good season.
Like I said, I was more confident and just ready because of that experience that I had. So I knew already, and that the margins are so fine. So I was not nervous at all. I was just excited.
And your old teammates got promoted this season. Did you send a little message to them?
Oh yes, I was so happy. But I knew it was coming because the season we had, it was unbelievable that we didn't get promoted, because after, I think we won 11 straight games in a row, and we were top of the league in February, and then we lost 7 games in a row. So if you lose 7 games in a row, then of course you don't deserve to get promoted. But we had a very good season that year and ended third. But just because of the season we had, we were a very, very good team that were supposed to be promoted. So I knew they were going to be a big candidate for going straight up this season. And when I saw it happen, I was so happy, and I texted all my friends there and the guys, wishing them congrats on this on the promotion.
Brilliant. So you obviously had a good season. Lutz has his spies all over Europe.
Yeah.
When did you first understand that there was interest coming from the MLS?
I was in Iceland on a vacation, and Bjarki, my agent, he called me and told me there's a club here in the MLS that is interested, and they want to have a meeting with you. Just tell me if you're interested in having a meeting and taking it further. And I told Bjarki, of course, I'm open to having a meeting. And that's the first time I heard of St. Louis City. I hadn't heard of them before. They were, of course, new. Mm-hmm. So that was the first time I heard.
And what were your thoughts? You've worked so hard to get into Europe, and North America comes calling, this new club that's plucked out of nowhere. Did you do some research? Did you have any friends that were in MLS? What got you excited?
So I did a research, and of course my agent, I trust him 100% for my career advice, and he does his research as well. So I was asking him a lot of questions, and I have one friend in Orlando, Dagur, who I also called and asked about how it is here, because it's important to make your research when you make a move like this. And the more I researched, the more I talked to people, the more I was interested. And then after having the meeting with Lutz and Bradley, I was very interested.
What were the conversations like? Without giving away too much, what did they tell you? What was the plan?
Yeah, it was basically just developing me as a player, which is important to me, and helping me reach my goals. So when I heard that sounded exactly what I wanted. So, and when you hear that someone wants to help you reaching your goals and develop you as a player, and when you feel the belief, then it's something that gives you a good gut feeling, and you go with that gut feeling. And then of course, I mean, just looking into the league as well, the summer that I signed, Messi was already in Miami, so a lot of eyes all of a sudden were turned into the league. So I knew the league had made a huge step, and it would make even a bigger step with him coming in. So that was also just a lot of points that were positive in that decision making.
St. Louis has a very specific style of play, hard pressing, a lot of off the ball movement, a lot of considerations. Is that the style that you were used to playing at your previous clubs, or was it like you had to learn an entire new approach?
My previous club were actually a high pressing team as well, but not on this level. This is on a lot more chaos, like we use a lot. And the previous team that I had was more of a ball possession team, so we used to have like a 70% ball possession in games. So it was a different style of play, where I was in a team that usually keeps the ball 70% of the time, to a completely pressing transition team like St. Louis City. But I also knew that coming in, because I like transitions. It's a big part of today's soccer is transition. So, and it's also one of my strengths. So I knew that coming in, that the playing style was something different, but it's a little bit different from the one I had in Beerschot.
The defensive side of the game is something that like attacking flair players like yourself are having to develop. You've got great numbers in that sense. Do you like the defensive side of the game and having that sort of responsibility when you play?
I mean, I just like working hard for my team. So doing that, you usually get rewarded. So doing that for the team, it's a part of the game. It would affect the team if I would just stand up there and do nothing. So it's for an attacker, it's not the most fun part of the game for me to be defending, but it's a part of it, and it's something that is also because of my running capacity, something that I can do very well. So yeah, it's I don't mind it at all.
You mentioned that Dalvík was a soccer town. Did you expect, landing in St. Louis City, that they would be as crazy about soccer as a lot of European cities?
Honestly, I did my research and I watched some games before I came, and the first thing I was like, I'm amazed of this stadium. It sell out every game, and it looks like a European city, and that was also very intriguing and very something that was also interested me a lot. And then first day coming here, it's crazy to see how many people are wearing the St. Louis merch. You go into a grocery store and like every other person is wearing either a cap with St. Louis City or a t-shirt with St. Louis City SC. So the soccer mania here is it's very European like.
What was it like when you first walked on to the pitch to play? Like, what's the atmosphere like? What does that do to your performance?
Yeah, it's the first thing that pops into mind is electrifying. It gives you energy, and it gives you don't feel tired even though your legs are tired. It gives you just like a push. So electrifying is the first thing that pops into mind.
Was there anything that you were looking forward to about America? Like, Europeans come over and they're like, cheeseburgers, big cars. Like, what was the sort of non-soccer thing that you were looking forward to about coming to America?
Me and my wife were very excited to go to Target.
Yeah.
It was the first thing we did when we came. So,
were you impressed? Did it live up?
Yeah,
live up to the billing?
It lived up to it, because I was like, you can get everything here. So we were. That was the first thing we did together, was to go to Target. We don't have anything like that in Europe.
Have you been to one of those big Walmarts yet?
I have, and that was also what an experience. That is American. I can tell you that. That is very American.
Yeah, I didn't. I grew up in a town smaller than most of the supersized Walmarts.
Yeah. Anything your mind desires is in there.
Oh,
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's they're absolutely massive. So how have you adapted to living in St. Louis? What's the place been like for you and your wife so far?
It's been great. It was. I had coming here. I had some family issues, so the first period was a little bit tough settling into here. But other than that, it's like the city, the club, everything is it's easy to settle in here. But of course, it had an effect, that the family issue I had at home. But of course, that is all better now. So now I'm so settled in and feel good now.
Are you happy that you moved to America to experience this? I mean, seeing you on the pitch at the weekend, Lionel Messi,
yeah.
Miami. I mean, was that like a sort of wow moment? This was the right move for you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very driven guy with high goals and very. So of course, I'm happy with my decision, but of course, I would have wanted to play more. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm just working every day to be the best version of myself and improving. And I feel like since I came here, I've improved a lot as a player. So that's the positives here. And I'm very happy with my decision because of that, because I've grown as a person, I've grown as a player. But I'm a very driven guy who has high goals. So of course I want to do more.
What areas of your game do you think have improved the most since joining?
I think physically. This is a very physical league. That was one of the first thing I noticed when I came here. It's a very back and forth league, very physical. So, and you have to put on a little bit of muscles to not get beaten up here. And then of course, just all that technical part. It's something that, like, we have so many good training sessions where I've improved my technical part of the game. So yeah, improvement has been a lot.
And can you tell the fans, and we've never really asked the question like this, but how are you coached on the tactical part of the game? Like, what's the approach to developing, how you think about the game?
It's video sessions. You look at video, you look at the games, and then it's just repetition again and again and again, seeing different scenarios and the coach telling you what you should have done better, where you should have positioned there, and then it's just taking in that information and trying to replicate it the next game or in the next training session. So a lot of video sessions and coaching.
And every player is different in this sense, but do you watch other teams? Do you watch other players when you're or after training? It's sort of like shut down and go play video games, or
no, I watch a lot of film and I try to learn as much from other teams as well, how they are playing and how other players are playing. So I like to watch games outside of in my free spare time as well, to just learn, because as soon as you stop learning, then you can't stop it. So I'm here to, or we're all here to learn and to get better. So yeah, I definitely watch other teams and watch other players, what they're doing. And
what's been your favorite memory since joining the club? It can be like, it doesn't have to be on the pitch. It can be.
My favorite memory is it's an easy one. The first goal I scored in my third game against Dallas here at home, and just experiencing that electrifying celebration from the fans. That was a very special moment. So yeah, it was an easy one.
And we've got a long way to go, the rest of the season. I wanted to ask what your hopes for the team are, and whether you have any personal goals for yourself. Like if we were sitting here in December, what would good look like to you?
Sitting here in December, we make the playoffs, and we start getting into a rhythm, start connecting victories, and things start falling our way, and we reach the playoffs and go far in the playoffs. Of course, we don't just want to reach the playoffs, we want to do well in the playoffs. So that's definitely something that I want for, or is a goal for the season. And then personally, it is to keep improving, being the best version of myself, and playing more.
Fantastic. Well, we have a little tradition at the end of the show.
Yeah.
We hand the mic over to you for you to speak directly to the fans. They'll be eager to hear what you've got to say.
Keep supporting us, because we don't take it for granted. It's something that we appreciate a lot, and we want to keep fighting for you guys to get the results that we want and that you want, which is the most important for us. And I'm gonna keep fighting, keep getting better, and trying to do the club proud and do you guys proud. And I know we will reach our goals at the end of the season. We just need everyone to stick together.
Fantastic. Nökkvi, that was an absolute pleasure having you on the show. Hopefully you can come back again. If you're listening to this, that was Nökkvi Thórisson. Leave a little 5-star review. Tell him how much you enjoyed him on the show, and hopefully he'll come back. And on that note, thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Good luck this weekend.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.